All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the Free to Play podcast, a podcast where two nerds just sit down and talk about some video game and other video game related things for an extended period of time. It could be like about an hour, it could be 4 hours, whatever. It depends.
We
I
are
am
the new
joined here,
Snyder Cut.
right? As you can hear
We are
or
the Snyder
see,
Cut of podcasts.
I am joined here by my co-host, Brent Gillihan. So say hello, Brent.
Hello, Brent.
Good, great.
Hello,
All right,
editor
how's
Brent.
that?
How are you doing editing this? That's a joke no one gets.
It's an inside joke. People will get it if they watch all of our episodes. They have to
Yeah.
get caught up on the lore.
Go back and watch everything. Give us realistically, ideally, go watch it on streaming services. We get money from that.
Yeah, we could get up to a whole $6 a year.
Okay, so I'll let you host. I'll let you keep introing in a minute, but I just got a crazy text.
I was done with my intro. What are you talking about?
No, you got to go through housekeeping and stuff. But
Ah,
this text I got from a seemingly normal-looking number says, "Join tonight. There are 110 local ladies on the line right now."
bro, are there hot singles in your area?
There are hot singles in my area, dude. Hot
Ah,
Russian singles? Let's go. These moms don't want relationships? I bet.
No, no, we have to stop. We have to stop. We have to stop. We must cease.
This is a video games podcast.
We talk about video games here.
We like games.
All right, so I guess I'll go through this housekeeping thing. All right, so we have obviously we're available. Listening to us is we're available on several streaming platforms, almost any that you can think of. You know, Spotify, Apple Music, that kind of stuff. We are also live on Twitch. We record these episodes live on Twitch. So if you want to see us actively fumble our way through these recordings, then watch us there whenever we go live. We'll always tweet about it whenever we do, just before we do, because we do indeed have a Twitter. So if you would like, you can go follow that too. There's also an Instagram, which I don't know if that's ever used because I don't use Instagram. We also have a YouTube channel where we upload all of the episodes after they're done recording and being uploaded and stuff. So that's basically like the final cut. And the only other way to see Brent's beautiful face and my immaculate floating orb. So if you're interested in visuals for this audio show, then YouTube and Twitch are the way to go. All right, how is that?
Man, I couldn't ask for anything better. I love you, man.
Oh, thanks. I love you too, bro.
All right. Well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to like compete with Andrew on that, but we have a lot of shit to talk about. So, how do you want to handle this? I feel like would it be better to do our normal structure and just say what have we been playing this week and talk about shit, or should we start with the main topic so we can gauge how long that takes and then kind of see where we are?
No. We have to start with the simple shit before we get into the serious shit. All right, we have to follow the typical formula of being primarily episodic and lighthearted in nature, and then going into a serialized narrative as we move forward. This is our structure. This is what we do.
What does our show have lore and continuity now?
Yes. Ever since we made the inside joke of editor Brent, that is where we are going.
All right, man, let's go. All right, Andrew, what the fuck have you been playing for 3 months?
All right, I will reveal to you what I have been spending all of my free time doing in this past month I guess a little over a month since we last recorded, even though what we've been playing is actually below yours. We just always go for me first. We don't go down the list because fuck lists.
Exactly, dude. I don't know why it's still like that.
It's whatever. It's fine. So I haven't been playing a lot of things. I've mainly just been playing a couple more Game Pass games because Game Pass is great and probably one of the only ways I really play games anymore because
Hmm.
it's the most convenient and cost effective way I have of doing that thing. So one of the main games I've been playing for a good while, I kind of put down like because I tend to do this with a lot of bigger games, especially like JRPGs and shit. Like I'll fucking get like to the very end and then stop and never play it again, just before I get to the ending and shit. But I've been playing this game called Code Vein, which is basically anime anime Dark Souls.
Anime. Duh.
I can't speak. I don't know why. You'd think after like 9 episodes of doing a fucking podcast, I'd get a little bit better at my speech, but
You never do.
no.
I still
You never
haven't.
learn. You never improve.
We're on like 40 episodes on Uncultured Opinions, and I don't know what the fuck I'm saying anymore.
I don't know
I'm
what the
still,
fuck I'm doing.
yeah, I'm still lost, man. I don't know how to hold a conversation.
I don't know how I made $6 off this shit. But yeah, I've been playing Code Vein, Anime Dark Souls and all that. It's pretty cool. Actually, I've enjoyed it. It's obviously not quite as hard as Dark Souls, especially because you get a party member with you at all times. So, you usually have someone to like, if you want to, just tank most of the hits for you. I think this guy's one of the characters. I think his name is Yakima. I don't know. It's been a while since I've played, so I don't remember anyone's names. But that guy is basically like the big old tank dude of your party. He has like the big old sword and shit.
So am
So
I.
if you want, you could just have the enemy focus on him because he'll be able to guard and shit, and then you can just come up from behind and just fucking lay waste and shit. That's something I didn't discover until like late game, and it's great because I don't have to fucking get all ragey and shit anymore. It's wonderful.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, it's not there's not a lot to say about it. It's pretty neat. It's got a fairly interesting story. I hate the restoring vestiges system mainly because when you like because okay, vestiges. When you go throughout all the levels, they're basically a collectible. Like you'll get a bunch of them, and they're all like parts to certain blood codes, which basically are the ability sets. Blood codes, when you equip them, you get a certain set of abilities. Some of those abilities will have their own little XP bars or whatever, and then when you fill up those XP bars, you inherit those skills, which means you can use those skills regardless of whatever blood code you have, which is a system that I really like. I actually really like that. It does get a little grindy as you go on though because the bar fills up so little, especially because I'm not like entirely sure how the fuck it works, but I think it's kind of based on your level. So if you spend too much haze, which is the souls of this game,
Hmm.
if you spend too much haze and get yourself too high of a level, then like your experience bars for those skills will slow to a crawl, and it gets very annoying. So it's obviously going to start to get really grindy as you get into the later game, and I've kind of experienced that and got burned out on it a little bit because I'm aspiring a completionist, so I want to inherit every possible skill I can that allows me to inherit it. So I'll just be going around the depths, which are these little miniature dungeons separate from the areas of the game, and I'll just go back and forth through those, killing all the enemies over and over again, so I can just keep filling those bars to inherit those skills. And it started getting a little old after a bit. Um,
Naturally.
but aside from that, you get these. In order to get these blood codes, you'll have to get these vestiges, which, as I've said before, are basically collectibles. You'll get like parts A through E or whatever of a certain blood code throughout the stages, and then you'll go to this character called Io, which is another one of the important characters and one of the one of the main people that you like wake up next to when you start the game. Uh, and going to her, you're able to restore those vestiges. But the thing about restoring those vestiges is that it puts you in this thing where it's a walking simulator all of a sudden, and you can't run, and you walk at a very slow speed as it spouts the exposition of the people who once held those blood codes at you, so you can get the story of like who those people were and how they met their end, which is all right. But I hate having to like slowly walk around and get all that shit in order to learn the story and everything. I feel like it would have been a lot better if it was kind of more like a slideshow kind of thing, and they didn't have as much dialogue to it. It just kind of mainly covered the bases and all that. It didn't take too much time. It didn't overstay its welcome, and it didn't rely on you having to constantly hold up on the control stick in order to continue the story that's trying to be told here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I did find out, thankfully, that you can just press the start button to skip any of them. But then I feel like a dick for doing that because I am interested enough in the game and the world that it's crafted to want to know some of these stories of some of these people who met these unfortunate ends. But I don't want to walk slow as shit to like learn about all of it. I don't want to do it. It's not fun. I don't have the attention span for it. All right.
That's fair.
Uh, so that's probably one of my biggest gripes about the entire game is just that it's like this needless aspect to this system that's pretty all right, but it just makes it annoying and take too long, and I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, that's one of the funny things. Like reading the doc, I was just so confused. I was wondering what the story was going to be behind this because it was like Andrew, code vein, shelved, just entered final area. So
right.
I'm like, what's the story here? What happened here?
Yeah. So the thing is that I'm not going to get like too into the story and stuff of the game. If anyone's interested, they can play it for themselves. But basically, uh, there are these people that are successors who take on. I guess they take on like certain body parts or whatever of the queen, which was this great big old threat that terrorized the land a while ago. So she died, but like all of the remnants, all the shit that she left behind remains, like a lot of the monsters and shit. So the world's still in this big old state of chaos. But as you go through the game, you learn that there are successors who are kind of, I guess, keeping the peace. I don't know. Again, I'm not going into it. This is just very basic blanket explanation.
Mm-hmm.
So these successors take on the various parts of the queen because the queen was all like broken up apart and made into these relics, which successors take. People who are compatible with those relics. Um, but the relics are unstable and shit. So after a certain amount of time, these successors start to go a little bit berserk, and then they lose their forms and start to become all monstrous and shit. So as you get about the midpoint of the game, it becomes your job to go take out these successors and shit. And the fun little thing that affects your ending is in the levels that have those successors,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you'll find their vestiges throughout the level. So if you find all their vestiges and repair those vestiges for the blood code, then when you defeat the successor and fully learn their backstory and shit, and like what happened to them, how and why they became a successor, and all that, they'll eventually turn to stone or whatever and basically die at the end of that. But if you restored their vestige, then you can revive them from that stone state. They'll still be trapped in their monstrous form, but they'll be alive. So you've basically saved them. So that's one of the big things that determines your ending right there is if you save all of them, if you save some of them, or if you decide to save none of them. And then there's like a bonus secret ending that overwrites the ending where you restore everybody. If you get all the vestiges and restore every vestige in the game, and it sucks that to my knowledge, that overwrites the other ending, so you still have to play through the game 4 times no matter what because there's no save feature. It's all autosave, which sucks. And that was one of the big undertakings that I guess maybe contributed a lot to my burnout, and I was like, I'm not sure I want to do this. So yeah, I stopped because the way the story goes, basically, at by the end of it, like one of the big guys that you hear a lot about, I think his name is Silva. He's like one of the last successor dudes who kind of loses his mind and becomes one of the monster things. And I think he was like one of the big important ones because he stayed confined to this chair that drained him of his blood for some purpose or reason.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I can't remember what it was. And basically, the way that the story is starting to go now, it's basically like, all right, we're gonna have to kill this guy and then get back to this chair, but someone's gonna have to sit in this chair for whatever reason. I guess to keep the rest of the world safe or whatever, because this is a selected part of the world. And you don't want this chaos spreading everywhere else. I think that's what it was. So the way they're framing it is that basically you're going to have to take Silva's place after you kill him, and then it's at that point where your ending will be determined. So I got into the final area where Silva's supposed to be, I think, and then you fight him, and I think you fight like two more bosses at least, and then after that the game ends. But I kind of stopped just before I got there. But yeah, it's a fun game. I like the story pretty alright. I don't know if there's going to be like anything else that comes of Code Vein, if there's going to be any sort of sequel, if it was really just a one and done. It might just be one and done. That's the kind of fate that I see for a lot of these Souls like games. They don't really like carry on as long unless people really fucking like them.
Yeah, there's only been like a couple I've really seen like build huge communities, and the ones I can think of is maybe like Neo, and then like the Surge maybe. But I'm
Which
sure
one was
I've
the Surge?
the Surge was like the one that was like futuristic kind of.
Did you get like the like exo armor type
Yeah,
shit?
you have like an exosuit.
Yeah, okay, I know what that one is. Yeah,
But like
that one seemed pretty popular for a while.
those are the only two I can think of that have gotten like a sequel at least. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not in that community, so I don't know every Souls game. But well, Souls like game.
Right, Soulsborne, the genre.
Yeah, I've been
But
playing Demon Souls recently. It's been fun. I have nothing to say about it in my segment, but it's pretty fun.
hmm. So yeah, Code Vein's fun if you like Souls-like games, especially if you've been wanting to get into games like that, but you know you've heard that they're really fucking hard and like you feel like it might be a high barrier of entry. I think Code Vein is a fairly decent entry point. It's not all that difficult, especially if you can get a hold on some of the exploits, like using Yakumo, for instance. I think he's one of the better party members that you get access to in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's free on Game Pass. So, you know, if you got Game Pass, you can go pick that up right now. Like, I think all the games that I'm going to talk about, which is three. Uh, so, the next one that I was playing for a little while that I kind of dropped Code Vein for, of course, what else but fucking the myth, the legend, the fucking game that's been released on every platform under the sun. I'm going to bet that they're gonna start demaking the game and releasing it on fucking N64 and shit. So we're going backwards at this point.
If
Uh,
only.
the fucking Elder Scrolls 5, yeah, 5, Skyrim special edition. So it
Let's
has the
fucking
Housekeeping and all that.
go.
Yeah, because I was playing that a lot when I had it on Steam, and I was working on the Steam achievements, but Steam achievements are kind of useless. So I was like,
Mm.
yeah, okay, I'll start the entire game over again for the Xbox achievements for that fucking gamer score. Yeah, I'll do that. That won't be a major time sink at all. Uh, so I did that, um, and I haven't actually gotten super far in it because one of the things that I've been really trying to focus on is like whenever I see a location, go to that location and just go through it. So that way, and not only do I have it on the map, but I just go ahead and clear like all these dungeons and shit as I come to them and all that. So I've cleared out pretty much the bottom left corner of the map by doing that strategy. I think there's like maybe one or two locations somewhere in there that I still have to go through,
Okay,
but the bottom left corner of the map
what are
is
your hours at right now though?
I don't know. I don't want to open it up and look through. I'm kind of scared, but also it would take a lot of work, and I don't want to do it right now.
That's fair.
Yeah. So I've cleared out most of the bottom left half of the map. I've only gone through a couple of the holds. I've gone through Whiterun. I've gone through Fallbreath because I'm going on the Imperial side because I usually go Stormcloak. So I'm
Mm.
trying out the Imperial side, seeing that side of the story
Yeah, my
when I
my
actually get
recent
around to that storyline.
my recent playthrough was on Imperial, and I actually like because I had always just gone Stormcloak. I'm like, fuck the Imperials, fuck the system. But
Right.
then I played it, and I'm like, I like this. Like, I like the Imperial camps that like go everywhere. I like the mission variety. You have to like, you go into a new area and like, oh, I'm gonna stop by the Imperial camp and see what's up, and then you go on different missions. I thought it was kind of cool.
Also, with the added context of like some of the other games, mainly like Oblivion and I think Morrowind, the games that came before, and you get knowledge on Cyrodiil itself and like the Ultimate Dominion, you start to uh, know the intricacies of the conflict between those guys. Then you start to feel for the Imperials a lot more, I think, because the thing about them and a big point against them is that they're kind of working with the Almeri Dominion, who are a bunch of fucking assholes. Banning Talos worship and all of that, and that's just like one of the things. Because they're a bunch of pompous pricks. But the thing is, they're a bunch of strong pompous pricks,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of kicked the Imperial asses though, so they kind of like have to play nice with them for the time being, until they can like gather their strength back up and be able to get a better standing, better ground on which to take down those guys because they need to be sure that they're all on a more united front. But then Ulfric had a huge fucking problem with that, so he started causing a bunch of shit, and then like this whole uprising thing happened. Skyrim's all torn up and shit because of this war going on, and it's like, god damn it, we were already on unstable enough footing. Now we got all this shit to deal with. That's just pretty basic, but yeah, that's kind of the long and short of the Imperial side. So I actually feel for them a lot more than I did before because like it doesn't help that like Imperial red, Stormcloak blue, red and blue, you tend to go a little more with blue because red's more associated with bad groups and shit. Even if it's not like a red versus blue thing, like red just
Mm-hmm.
in general as a color
Yeah.
is associated with not good groups and shit. So when you have blue, which is I think almost always associated with good groups and shit, pitted up against red, that kind of like also sort of uh, has you naturally lean more towards the storm cloaks, especially since one of their big things is like independence and shit. Um, so they've got those things going for them, and also at the beginning of the game, it really makes you start. It also pits you against the Imperials because they're trying to execute at the beginning of the fucking game. It shows you and this group of people, and they're pretty. They're not nice, super nice about it, and they're like sending you the fucking chopping block and everything. They try to give you reason to like want to go against them and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a lot of they have a lot of shit stacked up against the Imperials, but I honestly, when I look more into it, I think that they have the better long term ideas. But that's just me personally, and I don't want to go into a bunch of fictional political shit. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop it there. Basically, when playing Skyrim, I like it, of course, because it's fucking Skyrim, and it's a major time sink. And I'm almost at level 50. I'm in like I think about mid 40s in terms of level, and I'm only just now in Riften, uh, doing the Thieves Guild shit. When I just went through Whiterun, Falkreath, and most of Markarth.
Mm-hmm.
So I've only really done three holds, one of which is technically required because it ties into the Dragonborn quest. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say about Skyrim. Everybody knows about it, so there's not a lot to say because it's like, on
What's
every fucking platform ever.
what's that game? I haven't heard of it. Sounds interesting.
Yeah,
Only like
it's
one of my favorite games ever. I've never heard of it.
yeah. Uh, like if anyone hasn't heard of it and they might be interested, if you got an Xbox or whatever, it's on Game Pass again. You can check it out if you want. Third and final game, which I literally just started. I just started it like last week, but I've kind of stopped because I haven't been playing anything for the past few days.
This
Is
is a.
NeiR?
I was gonna say this is a game I'm hyped to hear you talk about.
Yeah, NeiR Automata, Become as Gods edition, also for the Windows 10. Uh, I really like this game.
My real
I,
quick, my favorite thing is the fact that you always in the doc put what you play the game on. So you always put
I have to
Windows
put the
10.
platform, even though I only play on one platform.
Exactly. That's like me being like PlayStation, PlayStation, PlayStation.
Yeah,
But
I
when you
mean,
get to
to be
Doom, it's
fair,
like Steam.
yeah, to be fair, I do it more for prosperity's sake because, like, different versions can have like differences, not just in content, possibly depending on the game, but also like in quality.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
fair. So like if you
so
were talking about Minecraft and you put Windows 10, it's like, yeah, I'd understand. You know.
yeah, but I'm also OCD and I have to do that for everything. So
Fair.
even if it doesn't matter at all. So I really like Nier Automata. It's got a really good and interesting story so far. I've only played as far as just after the underground portion, where
Mhm.
you discover one of the revelations after a big hole gets opened up in the underground. So that's as far as I've got. All right, don't spoil anything for me if you've played further.
I
Don't
won't,
do it,
man. I won't.
because I'm thoroughly interested in the story that is crafted so far. I have not played, but I do know about NeiR Gestalt slash Replicant, and I'm excited for that remake too when that
Mhm.
comes out. But I
Oh,
do know about that, and I know all about its story, so I'm already fully spoiled on that shit. So I'm already seeing some connections between that and this game, which has got me being like, oh, hey, I'm so glad that because NeiR originally started as out of a joke ending from the Drakengard series, I think,
hmm.
because it was like a thing where like in the Drakengard world you like fight a dragon or something, it goes over into the real world above Japan, and then when the dragon dies, its body becomes like a bunch of salt that like a literal salt that fucking like acts like snow over the world and like fucks everything up and is like killing all the human population and shit. So that's where NeiR begins. It begins from a joke ending of Drakengard,
That's funny.
basically. So yeah, and it's become its whole own thing. It's just like Persona. Persona was like a spin-off of fucking Shin Megami Tensei, and that became
That's
its
the
own
crazy
thing. That
part.
is, yeah, it became so much more massively popular than Shin Megami. Shin Megami is still popular. Like it's not like unpopular by any stretch of the imagination, but Persona became its own like fucking thing. Like Persona 5, people still talk about that shit and
Yeah.
how much style it uses.
Persona
It,
5
it
is
got into Smash.
fuck.
So,
Yeah, that's the crazy part. It's like I remember like getting into games a little bit and learning more things besides my fucking like weird ass Skylander shit that I played all the time. But like, and I would see like Shin Megami Tensei, and I'm like whatever, and I'll see Shin Megami Tensei Persona Revelations. Like when I was going back trying to play all the Personas, which I haven't got to yet. I downloaded the ROM, but I haven't played it. But I
you
was, I
use
was
ROMs, you
dude, I have
scoundrel.
no fucking idea where to like play that game, so I don't care.
I thought
But
it was available on the PlayStation, but I heard that was getting shut down. So whatever.
oh yeah, I mean, that's probably something I should have put on the notes for news. But no, it's like I always found it fucking weird. It's like, and then Persona came out, and I haven't touched the Shin Megami Tensei game. I should, but JRPGs aren't naturally my go-to. Like, I'm not gonna say I don't like them because there are some I fucking love. Like, I am in love with Persona 5, and I haven't even beaten it yet. There are some JRPGs I really do get into and I connect with. I love Final Fantasy 7. Not the original because I can't get into turn-based like that. I love Octopath. I love things like that. But by nature, I'm not going to pick up a game because it's a JRPG. So Shin Megami Tensei is one of those where it's like, that's not my wheelhouse. I might play it one day, but everything I've seen from it just seems like not basic, but I don't see a lot of like flair to it. Whereas Persona, I don't know what the early Personas are like, but they grew. Became their own like vibe, their own like awesome
Right.
like just like classy vibe, and I love it. So it's just kind of crazy. But yeah, with NeiR, it's like I'll let you get back to explaining it because you have more thoughts than me for NeiR probably because I'm not too far into it, but I'm fucking pumped for Replicant because I fucking love Automata. Like I love this one so fucking much. I think you're gonna inspire me to go beat it before Replicant comes out, so I might have thoughts next week. But I fucking love that game. The combat in it is it's weird because
Dude, it's so fucking stylish and cool and satisfying to pull off.
it is, man. It's like I never thought I'd want to play like a fucking combination between a third person action game and a bullet hell game. Like I never would have thought that would like jive with me at all, but it fucking works, dude.
Yeah.
Also, 2B is mommy, so
Yeah, I was gonna say I like to be like a lot.
yeah, me too. Trust me,
So
yeah,
much
me
so
too.
that I opened incognito right afterwards.
You're not alone, brother. That's me with Persona 5 with fucking on.
Oh
That's me
yeah,
every time I play that game.
fucking waifus, man. They have a power like no other.
Dude, fuck.
But dude, I really like the game. I don't have too many thoughts or things to say about it because I haven't gotten terribly far. I One of the things I do know about it is that the roots of the game are essentially like separate, like completely separate, like playthroughs more so than like just making alternative choices or something
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
the weird part. I don't know how much you know about the requirements for it, but I'm trying to platinum it. I know they allow you to buy trophies in the game, which is fucking
Yeah.
crazy.
I'm
But
excited about that because if there are difficulty based achievements, which there might not be, but if there are, you can better believe I'm fucking buying that shit
yeah,
because the difficulty spikes on those difficulties are ridiculous. Like the hardest difficulty is you die in one hit,
Jesus. Yeah,
which is
I want to platinum it, but it's like I don't know like what routes I have to do. I know there's some that are like short. I know there's some that are long. I don't know like I'm not done with the first route yet, so I'm not entirely sure like the whole system with the routes. You know, like I
okay.
know some of
So
I know I've heard people explain it like, oh, it's basically a new game plus, but you're kind of doing things different, or like there's a different story in a couple routes. There's like 10,000 routes, and all of them have a different story. I don't know. Explain it to me.
all right, so the way that it works is that the main routes that you go through are essentially new game pluses. You'll just experience it from the same story in different ways, so it'll provide more context and shit. This is the most non-spoilery way I know about because thankfully I got non-spoilery ways because I
Mm,
watched a non-spoiler video uh, explaining that because I imagine achievements are tied to routes, so I wanted to be like, okay, how do I
mm-hmm.
like sort of maximize this to be able to experience all the routes and shit without like fucking myself over and learning shit I'm not supposed to learn about. I can't
Naturally.
remember the name of the guy who uploaded the video, but he was very good, very straightforward about it. He laid it all out. So the way that it works is that the number of routes are I think 26, like all numbers of the alphabet. So you're not playing New Game Plus 26 times. It's just that you'll get I think a total of 4 playthroughs. He said like you'll play through the game a total of 4 times, but like all the other routes or endings are basically joke endings. Like if you like do stuff like if there's a major battle and then you just run off in the other direction, it'll give you a joke ending. I think
Mm-hmm.
if you go into your chips, which are basically your skills and abilities, which is a system I really like too. I really like that. Really plays in the whole Android thing and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that you're equipped with is an OS chip, and it's like removing it like will result in death. So if you remove that, you'll get a joke ending. So it's stuff like that. You'll have to like go out of your way to do a lot of like dumb bullshit in order to get like all those joke endings if you want to have all the routes because on your save file it'll show you all the routes you've completed. It'll show all those letters of the alphabet. So I guess routes A through D are like actual routes and everything else is like joke shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've heard it's one of those things where like people will be on Twitter be like, you beat the game, keep playing it. You didn't really beat it. So it's like I think if correct me if I'm wrong, I assume that's where the game's length comes from is like not one playthrough. Like if you go on how long to beat and you look up how long it is, like generally like the entire game you play should be all 4 routes. Like you should play the 4 routes to get the game.
Yeah, I think that's how it. I think that's how it goes. I think they actually tell you that too after you complete the first route. They're like, "Hey, congratulations, you did it, but don't go anywhere because there's more out. There's more over here if you wanted to experience that too." So I think they actually do tell you outright
Okay.
that hey, there's more to play after you beat the game for the
So
first time. So that's a nice little
is
touch.
route B through D, is that, so you said for like joke endings, if you do X, Y will happen, you'll get a joke ending. But is for B through D, is that if I start a new game plus after A, I will be starting group B, or do I have to do something to enable that?
Okay, so the way I think it works is that if you start a new game, you're officially on that route. Like things will start changing and stuff. It's already set in stone because it'll recognize that you're playing through the game a second time. It's just that it'll change some things up for you.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah, and each time you play through it, you'll get more and more shit. Like you get to experience more and more shit.
well, I'm hyped. Yeah, I got the game for Christmas with a bunch of Christmas money. I was trying to figure out what to spend it on. I was like, $20 for NeiR Automata. I was like, all right, whatever. And I played it. And I was like, what the fuck is this game? Like, I had seen shit for it. I knew it was kind of like a bullet hell game, but I was like, this is fucking crazy. I love it. I think after this pod, I'm probably gonna play it. You've got me like fuck. Because I'm also realizing like shit, Replicant comes out in like May or something, I think. So I gotta fucking beat Automata. Which yeah, I know
That's like
it's
next month.
yeah, exactly. Like I know it's a prequel, but it's still one of those like even for prequels, you still want to play the games because usually prequels, most prequels, they what's the word? Not enhance, but kind of like they. I can't remember the word, but it's just kind of like they mesh well with it. Like they, I don't know, man. They just fucking mesh well with the original, and they complement. They complement. Most prequels complement the original, whereas if you're gonna
Hmm.
launch the prequel first, then it wouldn't be like that. Like it, I don't know. It wouldn't be the same if they were to launch it first and then do Automata. Like they make Replicant to complement Automata and tell you same with the Star Wars prequels and shit. So it's just kind of like, and some don't work that way. Some are genuinely just kind of like you need to know nothing. It doesn't matter. Play the prequel, and I'm sure every prequel can be played that way. But it is a lot of them complement. Like if you don't watch the original Star Wars movies, which this is always like a think piece. This is always kind of like a experiment people like creating. Like if you don't watch the originals, how do the prequels hold up? I personally think they're not going to hold up as well if you haven't seen the originals because I feel like those complement the original trilogy. It's a controversial opinion. The prequels are a good trilogy, but I feel like they're made to complement the original trilogy. So it's just one of those things. I went on too
Hmm.
much of a tangent, and half of that was trying to figure out the word compliment. But yeah, I'm looking forward
Right.
to playing it this week and beating it. Beating
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
26 routes.
All 26 of that. I will have to play through this game 26 times. Uh,
Buying so
I'm
many
excited for the.
microtransaction trophies.
Oh my god, it is, isn't it?
I
Shit.
feel like it's
Uh,
one of those things where like, all right, you platinum NeiR Automata. How many trophies did you buy?
yeah, how many of them did you buy? How many did you earn?
Exactly. All right, you've been trying to say
Uh,
something for like 5 minutes. Go ahead.
yeah, I'm excited for the Replicant remake as well. It's interesting how I think they're just remaking Replicant because the way that it worked in the original game, it was split into two different versions, Gestalt and Replicant. Replicant was the main version. It was what the people in Japan and all that got. We Westerners got near Gestalt,
Mm-hmm.
which the only major change to between these two versions is the protagonist himself, who is named NeiR. So the series is named after him. Because in Replicant, you play the role of a younger man uh, who has to take care of his little sister. But in Gestalt, since the people making it figured Westerners would resonate more with a father daughter relationship, they made the main character a big burly man who's caring for his daughter instead
Hmm.
of a young man caring for his little sister. So that's the only difference. I think that's like the only difference between the two versions.
What
Uh,
have they never played BioShock?
um, So that's the only major difference. I think the DLC that they had for both versions, I think, let you play as like the other version of NeiR. But those DLCs were both just an arena thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't get to play as like the different version like in the main story or anything. You just go through a door or I think read a diary or something. And if you're big guy NeiR, your uh, your big brother NeiR, and then vice versa for the two different versions. So it looks like for the replicant version 1.22, fucking sequence of numbers, they're just focusing on the replicant version, which is just the older brother. I don't know if there will be any references to Gestalt or anything, if they'll just kind of like cut that out entirely. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
sure,
I think, yeah,
but
ideally you would have like Gestalt in there too, as like a fun package. But yeah, it's probably just gonna be Replicant, I would assume.
yeah. Unless they just have that arena DLC too, and then they just let you play as Papa near there.
True.
But I don't know. But anyways, Nier Automata, I like it. I like 2B. 9S is okay. Not quite my type, but
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, not really. So
I don't.
I don't have a big list of games. I just started a new job. Every day I come home and I'm like, I'm going to bed. So I haven't played too much. But a couple weeks ago, I right before I started this job, I was playing some games. I went back to motherfucking Doom Eternal, baby.
Oh motherfucker, here we fucking
Let's
go. Oh, fuck
let's
yeah.
fucking go, dude.
Fucking
Let's fucking go. Filled with so much testosterone, bro. No, but so Ancient Gods 2 came out. That's why. So in order to play that, like I bought it the day it came out, and I was like, shit, I haven't even beat Tag 1 yet. So I was like, all right, I'll just
I'm
play.
officially behind. This cannot stand.
Yeah, no, for the first like day or so of like Tag 2 coming out, it was like Tag the Ancient Gods. For Tag 2 coming out, it was like people were talking about it. Well, not everyone. My feed was actually pretty silent about Doom Eternal. But like the YouTubers and stuff are making videos about it, and I was like, "Fuck! I'm still playing Tag 1." So I played through that. It's hard. I don't know how I'm gonna talk about this because I guess I'll compare and contrast because both DLCs. Because I don't want to dissect them too much. We have a huge news thing to touch on, but both DLCs I feel like are targeting different audiences, and it was pretty much confirmed by Hugo Martin, the creative director. He's been doing a bunch of interviews with like Doom YouTubers and stuff. It's been pretty cool to see. But yeah, it's pretty much like Tag 1 was meant for the hardcore like Doom elitists, the people that like want a challenge. Like Tag 1 was definitely made for that because there's so many arenas where I'm clenching my ass and I'm going through and I'm like, fuck, I don't know what that was. Audio listeners, you're missing out.
That was the sound of raw testosterone right there.
Exactly, dude. But like, yeah, it's just I don't think that one gives you a new weapon or anything, or even adds a new enemy type. That one's like purely just kind of like you're gonna get fucked and you're gonna like it. Where Tag 2 is, it's not as easy as everyone says. Like I didn't have too much of a, I didn't have an awful challenge with it, but I definitely felt like I was challenged. Like I didn't die, maybe once, twice, maybe, but and I will say though, like they have these new like not rooms but kind of challenges called like escalation rooms, I think. So it's kind of like a gore nest where like you reach in, you take out the thing, and then the waves spawn. So for this is in Tag 2. So they want you to do one of those to like progress in the story every time you come across one. But what they do is, what is it? I can't remember the order. Oh yeah, so you do one and you get an upgrade for your Sentinel Hammer, which is a new weapon in this game. It replaces the Crucible from the base game. So you press V and you do like a big AoE attack. But it's pretty cool because it's obviously damage, but it gives out like armor. I mean, not armor, ammo. So it's another way to get ammo, like along with chainsawing, and you can actually mix it up really well once you get more upgrades. You can like, it's fucking crazy, dude. You just ice a bunch of enemies. You spray them with your flame belch to get the armor, and then you fucking ground pound with the hammer. You're getting so much shit, dude. What?
That does sound quite awesome.
It is awesome. But yeah, so and then you have
My testosterone is going just thinking about it.
that's Doom for you, baby. So the second escalation on that same, you could do it again, and then you'll get a weapon, like a Slayer skin. So that's pretty cool. But they tell you like these are meant for the best of the best, and it's like I don't know if I'm just good. Like I think I like to think I'm fairly good at Doom Eternal. Like I do think I am. Like I'm playing a Nightmare playthrough right now, and I'm dying for sure. But like I don't feel like I'm struggling as much. But so I was playing on normal through the second escalation levels, and like I was clenching my butt a little bit, but I didn't die through them. So I don't know like what your takeaway is from that, but it's one of those. I felt challenged, but I wasn't dying, and I think that's tag 2 in a nutshell. Challenged but not dying. Like there are cool things you do, and they add in some new enemy variants too. Most of them though are just like reskins of others. Like you have the Shriekers, which are really cool, but they're kind of like the not the imps, but I don't remember, some imp zombie or whatever. There's kind of like a reskin of those. It's a cool idea though, because it's like basically if you attack them, they shriek, and what that does is any demon in the vicinity gets a buff. So it is kind of cool, like trying to figure out what to do. They have a really cool like small arena they put you in at the end of Tag 2 where you have 2 Marauders, but you also have a couple, like I think 1 Shrieker or something, 1 or 2 Shriekers. So you're fighting 2 Marauders. If you've heard anything about Doom Eternal, you've probably heard of the fucking Marauders. So you have
We'll
2
have
of
a
them.
problem with them because like you actually had to you actually have to like outsmart them and shit because they got like defenses or whatever.
Yeah, people were
Were they those guys?
yeah, people were mad because they kind of make you think differently, and everyone's like, "This goes against what Doom tells you to. I have to stand and wait," and it's like, not really. Like the Marauder's running around, so like, yeah, you stand for a second, you blast them, but you don't have to fucking stand there for 10 seconds waiting for them to like start to attack you. But yeah, when you have 2, like I can take them out easily, but when you have 2, it gets a little hectic. So you have a Shrieker there too, so you had to like make sure you don't hit the Shrieker while you're killing the 2 Marauders, and I thought that was kind of fun. And then, but that's kind of like all they do with them. They throw in some Shriekers and some other fucking areas, but it's like it's whatever. Also, no, Tag 1 they did add another enemy too. It's like the Blood Angel, or Blood Maker. It's kind of cool. It's one of those like it's an enemy. It's kind of like the Maker drone, which you haven't played the game, I guess, which I think is on PC Game Pass. Fucking play it, Andrew. But it's kind of like an angel type because that's what the Makers are. But you can't hit it until it like opens itself up to start attacking you, and then you can do a headshot and it'll pop and it'll be crazy. So that one's pretty cool. They don't do too much with it, but I like them. So in Tag 2, they have the Stone Imps as well, and the Stone Imps can eat my fucking ass. Not really. Like, there's not too much challenge with those
Kinky.
either. What?
Kinky.
But like, they don't throw them at you too much. They're an imp that can only be killed with a full auto mod on the shotgun, and then like one other thing I forgot. But I always use a sticky bomb mod on the shotgun because you can take out the Caco demons easily, and you can also take out the weak points on the Arachnotron and the Mancubus's. So I always just use that. I've never used the full auto mod on the shotgun, but I guess that's why they make the Stone Imps, so that you do it. So there's things like that. Also in Tag 2, a thing I really like is the Super Shotgun in the base game has a thing called the Meat Hook. It's a grappling hook. So in Tag 2, they add in these meat hook like hooks, so you can like grapple onto it and you like swing around, like jump. It's crazy. They use it for like parkour and stuff. They add it into some of the platforming puzzles, but they also add it into some of the arenas. So it makes traversal and like There's times where like I was playing it and I barely ever touched the ground. It's fucking insane, dude. It's so cool. I don't think they
Mm.
use it enough, but it's cool. So Tag 2 I liked. I'm not sure. I think I like Tag 1 a little more because it did challenge you. I think I liked a lot of the arenas in Tag 1 a lot more. But Tag 2 has some great arenas as well. The boss fight is a little underwhelming, but it is what it is. Ultimately, like, I was pleased with Tag 2. I was impressed. The story in Tag 2 I thought was awesome. I thought what they told in there and then the ending I thought was really cool, and I'm interested to see if they make more Doom games. Like, what the fuck is gonna happen? But Doom Guy doesn't die. I know I just made it sound like he dies, but it's
Oh
just,
well, thanks for fucking spoiling me. Now I'll forever know that he does not, in fact, die. Son of
dude,
a bitch,
you
Brent. Come on.
can't fucking kill the Doomslayer. What the fuck are you on about, bro? Yeah, that's kind of that's my thing. Right now I'm going through, well, not right now, but when I was playing after I beat Tag 2, I was like, I'm just gonna keep going through the Steam achievements. So I started going through my normal playthrough and getting all the collectibles and stuff in the thing, in the levels, and it's fun, but it's also like, fuck Steam achievements, like, who cares? But I do want them, but I know one day I will platinum the game on PlayStation, so it's like I'll have to do it twice, but whatever, you know.
We're not addicted.
Dude, fuck. I have so many platinums in progress that it's hard to just like. I got PS Now, and I started playing Adventure Time, Battle for the Enchiridion, or Pirates of the Enchiridion. I don't know, but like the one water one that's kind of like Wind Waker. It's weird. I don't really like it that much. I might get the platinum because it's an 8-hour platinum.
Is
But
it the point and click adventure one?
no, it's the third person. It's a turn-based battle system, but you're in a boat and like ooze uh all a lake now. Ice Kingdom melted and it's an entire ocean, and you're kind of like Wind Waker. You're sailing around and grabbing stuff.
Huh.
Yeah, so I played that. What? Who cares? I just started Star Wars Republic Commando, which was an old Xbox original game. Might have been on the PS2, GameCube. I don't remember, but yeah, it was on there. So they just ported it to modern stuff, the Switch, PS4. I don't know if it's on the Xbox. I would assume, but yeah. So I just started playing that. It's always a game I wanted to play. I have it on Steam, but the mouse sensitivity, like if you put it all the way to the bottom, it's still gonna be fucking crazy. I might have to adjust my DPI, which I'm not gonna do it now. Obviously, I have the PlayStation version. It's useless now. But dude, I could not get the mouse sensitivity to be like low at all, so I just stopped playing it. And then I was gonna track down an Xbox copy to just play backwards compatibility, but I don't have to anymore. It's on PlayStation, so I'm playing it, having a lot of fun with it. It's like a Star Wars first-person shooter where you're a clone trooper in Delta Squad, which are kind of like they're built different from the other clones. They really
They're
are built.
just built different.
They really are built different though. Like
When
factually,
did
they
that
have.
become a thing? That
I
people
don't
say?
know. I don't know, but I like the meme a lot.
I just heard it last month, and now everyone uses it.
Built different. I'm just. I'm not gonna sing that. But so yeah, I'm having fun with it. It's kind of strategy in a way where there's certain things that need to get done so you can like tell your squad mates to do it and like flank certain people or kill certain enemies. It's kind of cool. I like it. I'll have more to say next week. Maybe I'll platinumed it. You there's difficulty trophies that I think stack. I don't know. There's no guides on it right now, so I'm going dark. But right now I'm playing on hard, which is already a pretty hard game because they throw fucking 10 million battle droids at you, and I'm not good at shooters on console, so I'm gonna get fucked. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Well, I
And
wish you luck.
thanks, man. I appreciate it. It shouldn't be too hard of a platinum. I think outside of the difficulty trophies, I think it's straightforward. Just reach certain points in the game and then find a few collectibles. I don't think it's like too absurd. Like I said, there's no guides yet though, so there's no hour estimate. So I don't know. The last thing I'm really gonna talk about is Outriders. That came out February, not February, April 1st. But it's not a joke. It's out, and I like it.
No,
I
by the time of April 1st next year, it'll be taken down as if it never existed. It was just an overly extended April Fool's joke.
can you fucking imagine, dude? It's like they put out one of those tweets where like, "Thank you for joining the simulation experiment."
Right? Dude, what if fucking April 1st, 2025, we all just wake up from the simulation?
Don't fucking tell me that, dude. I don't like that shit. No.
Everyone has to start counting down.
No, don't will it into existence. But yeah, I like
I want to be one of those personalities that accidentally predicts some major event.
You just gotta start saying shit until one of them sticks.
I will do it.
Yeah, so I like Outriders. I'll talk more about it next week once I play it with a couple friends this weekend, but it's kind of cool. I'll give my extended thoughts on it next week because actually I'll touch on a few things so that we're not dated by the time we release the episode. But
don't worry, we'll release it next month. It'll be fine.
Yeah, probably.
It'll already be dated.
Probably. So it's like a third person like shooter. The thing is it's comparable to Destiny in what it tries to accomplish, but it's not. People Can Fly, the devs of it, have stated like it's not a service. It's not a live service game. It's got elements of it. It really does. Like it's like a looter shooter that you can play online. There are some in-game things to do, but it's not built in the way where it should be treated as a live service like Destiny. Like in the future, maybe they do add raids, maybe they do DLC, but right now they're not pitching it as a live service. It's one of those things where it has content right now. It doesn't have like 40 hours of content, but it's got things to do if you wanted to. There is a small in-game to keep doing if you want to do it. And I'm one of the people that does the same missions over and over in Avengers. So
just gotta grind it out.
You just gotta deal with it, man. But yeah, so I like it a lot. It's got a unique thing that I'm not sure how it really works, called the world tier, where it's basically your difficulty. I think world tier 15 is the highest, so you have 15 world tiers that you unlock as you keep playing it, and you keep leveling up that world tier to get to the next. And being on the highest world tier gets you the most loot, the best loot. But you can drop it down like mid-game. If like I'm on 4 and it's kicking my ass, I drop it to 3. It doesn't tell you, are you sure you want to do it? It doesn't restart the level. It's like, okay, you're on World State 3 now. Because it doesn't really send more enemies at you. It just changes the AI a little bit and then just makes them hit less harder. So like maybe at some point they'll be like, oh, you're on World Tour 15, let's throw in a couple more captains. But it doesn't do it too much. It is more of just like a difficulty thing, but not in like a really annoying way. You know, like some games like, let's just duke up the difficulty because you clicked hard, which is kind of like what fucking Republic Commando is right now. And it's like, fuck. But yeah, I like it. That's all I'm really going to say right now. It's like, you also get 3 classes where you get cool like mystical powers. I'm a trickster. It's where they kind of prioritize going in and just like quickly getting somebody, like teleporting in, killing them, doing a little thing, teleporting out. Like they also do a cool thing where depending on the class, you get health by doing what they want you to do. Like for me being a trickster, I get health back when I get short range kills. Whereas like a technomancer, I think gets health when you do long range kills. So like they kind of do want you to play a little bit differently, so it's kind of cool.
Is there a class for just going in and just swinging at things until they die?
The technomancer, I mean not the technomancer. When I am the trickster, they have a little bit of like melee abilities, but no, there's not like a full like go around and just fucking throw a hammer at people.
Damn, that's my specialty.
So, I was gonna read this whole fucking article, but my throat hurts. Might still do it, but so we have a big thing to read to you. But until then, before then, here's a word from our sponsor. All right, we're back. It's
Right.
weird.
And if you're on Twitch, it went nowhere at all.
Exactly.
Just stayed silent for like 2 seconds.
Actually, I'm not even sure I want to do ad breaks anymore. I just throw the ad in the beginning so people can't avoid it.
Right.
But yeah, so Sony fucked up.
Apparently, so I've heard.
Okay, it's not a fuck up. And before we start this, look at my shirt. I'm a fucking Sony pony. I have a PS5. I fucking one of my review most of the podcasts since I got it, I'm drinking out of a trophy glass. Like, I love PlayStation. I'm a huge Sony pony, huge fanboy. That being said, I'm not going to just agree with everything they do. I got into a Twitter fight a few days ago by this huge PlayStation fanboy. Honestly, most PlayStation fanboys can fuck off. Not the ones that just play games, love PlayStation, and move on. The ones that are so fucking like obsessed with PlayStation that they're like, "Fuck you, Xbox, you suck." Oh, you...
PlayStation stands.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Oh, you criticize Xbox? You criticize PlayStation? You're a fucking Xbox shill. Because I was saying something. There was this post that was like, benefits of PlayStation, all this, benefits of Xbox, none. And I was like, not really. Like, I have a PS5. I love it. It's great. There are things I wish they would change. And I was like, Xbox listens to their fans more. They are more I hate the word objectively sometimes, but they are objectively a more fan-driven company than Sony is. And yeah, I don't care. You don't have to tell me like, "Oh, they're doing this to make more money, to save it." I don't care. The fact is they are doing it. I don't care about the methods or I don't care about the reason. I just care about the action. You know, they are doing it. So objectively, Xbox is a more fan community driven company than Sony. Sony is following more money when like all companies do, and Microsoft is too. But while doing that, they're making their money from listening to feedback. They are doing things that the fans want. They are being pro-consumer. Where Sony,
I like Game Pass.
Game Pass is fucking awesome. There's so many games that people can play now because of Game Pass. And I hate that so many PlayStation stands or fanboys. I don't even want to say fanboys and say I hate fanboys because I'm a fanboy. It's like I know there are a lot of people that are fanboys and they are good people. So I'll say PlayStation stands.
Yeah, that's the term. That's
Yeah.
the term for toxic fans nowadays.
Honestly. So yeah, there's so many like PlayStation stands that are like list one good thing about Xbox and don't bring up Game Pass. Like, you can't do that. Not that you can't say another good thing. You can't say don't bring up Game Pass. I'm fucking sorry you're tired of hearing it, but it is true. Game Pass is the best deal in gaming. I don't even own an Xbox. I don't use Game Pass. I wish I did. I wish I had something on my PlayStation. There are times I kind of want to go to Xbox, but there are things I like about my PlayStation. I like trophies. I am a huge fanboy. I love the company. But Xbox is doing things I enjoy. We haven't even gotten to the story yet. I'm just giving a preface, I guess. But it's like, yeah, Game Pass is one of the best values in gaming, period. They are doing good things. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts before we get into this big shit show of a story?
Not quite, because I'm still kind of in the dark about this whole thing. All I've heard is like vague remarks about bad decisions made by Sony by like a lot of people in my feed and shit, and then I'm looking around. I'm not like looking into it because I figured this was a thing that we were going to talk about, but I was like looking at like just those vague tweets themselves, being like, what the fuck is happening? I don't I don't know, but it sounds bad. Like I
Yeah,
don't know, man.
it's one of those things. Like, if you come out and you read the announcements that came out of it, it's one of those like none of these sound too horrible besides like one thing that's like annoying for some people, but none of these sound like awful things. But when you read like the Jason Schreier article and stuff like that, then you start to be like, what is their goal? Like, this sucks, you know? I also never finished my story. Essentially, it was just kind of like, I said that, and then some guy came in and was like, just kept calling me a fucking Xbox shill and an Xbot, and he kept giving me all
As
this.
you're in a PlayStation shirt.
Exactly. And there's one thing he said. He was like, you fucking Xbox shills. You all have podcasts. You all talk about how great Xbox is and stuff like that. And I'm like, or you all talk about how good Game Pass is. It's like, I didn't bring up Game Pass. I don't own an Xbox. If you watch the podcast, you will see that I talk about PlayStation all the time. I was like, I don't. All his points, and he kept saying things, giving new threads, and I'm like, all your points are invalid by one statement. I don't own an Xbox.
Right.
Which technically, I guess I do. I have an Xbox One, but it's like, that doesn't get plugged in. It's an Xbox One VCR. Like, what am I doing? What am I really going to do on that?
I don't know. Watch some movies.
That's fair, but it doesn't even have 4K compatibility. So, what's the point?
Yeah, most VCRs don't.
That's a good one.
Thanks.
All right, so if I'm up and willing to read this article, then let's do it. Would you rather me read and teach you about it, or do you want to read?
I feel like it'd probably be better if you gave me the good old scoop, especially considering that like since I'm like completely in the dark and shit, you reading it will give you more control over like where to stop and explain things, or if I need to like take in some information or something like that.
That's fair. All right. So this article comes from Jason Schreier of Bloomberg. I don't know. I don't have to give my opinion on Jason Schreier. I think the man does really good work. I disagree with some of his takes. I don't know why I had to preference that when I went to go read his article, but he does good work. So we're gonna. I tried not to take the entire article. Like I do think if you're quoting someone's article, you shouldn't take the entire thing. I left out some paragraphs, but I felt like most of this was important to read. So if you have any interest in this, at least visit the page. I'll leave the article down below in the YouTube description. Check out the article. Like, yeah, it's Bloomberg, but still support the sources, support the journalists. So yeah, I'm reading most of the article, but I still implore you to go and read it for yourself, or at least give it a click.
Please support the official release.
Exactly. This is a long one, so if you know the news, I'll have a timestamp for when I'm done reading. But so yeah, just stick with me for about 5 minutes. I'll try to speed it up. Sony Corp's Visual Arts Service Group. Okay, I read that right. Has been the long unsung hero of many hit PlayStation video games. The San Diego-based operation helps finish off games designed at other Sony-owned studios with animation, art, or other content and development. But about 3 years ago, a handful of influential figures within the Visual Arts Service Group decided they want to have more creative control and lead game direction rather than being supporting actors on popular titles such as Spider-Man and Uncharted. Michael Mumbauer, Mumbauer, I'm gonna read it like that. Sorry if.
Yeah, I think that's how it is.
Yeah. Sorry if I misread it. Who took over direction of the Visual Arts Service Group in 2007, recruited a group of about 30 developers internally and from neighboring game studios to form a new development unit within Sony. The idea was to expand upon some of the company's most successful franchises, and the team began working on a remake of the 2013 hit The Last of Us for the PlayStation 5. But Sony never fully acknowledged the team's existence or gave them the funding and support needed to succeed in the highly competitive video game market, according to the people involved. The studio never even got its own name. Instead, Sony moved ownership of The Last of Us remake to its original creator Naughty Dog, a Sony-owned studio behind many of the company's best-selling video games and an HBO television series in development. Sony's focus on exclusive blockbusters has come at the expense of niche teams and studios within the PlayStation organization, leading to high turnover and less choice for players. Last week, Sony reorganized a development office in Japan, resulting in mass departures of people who worked on less well-known but acclaimed games such as Gravity Rush and Everybody's Golf. But the company has informed developers that it no longer wants to produce smaller games that are only successful in Japan, Bloomberg has reported. I'll stop right there for a second, and I'll say, yeah, this fucking sucks. They got rid of Japan Studio, which I'm not happy about. Like, there are some cool games in Japan Studio, like they said, like fucking Gravity Rush. Like, I don't
Yeah,
understand.
Gravity Rush is cool as shit. I don't know much about it and I haven't played it, but I really like what I heard and its concept sounds really interesting. It sucks that because I guess it seems like it wasn't games like that just uh aren't successful enough because I guess they're only successful in Japan, so uh it doesn't really like seem worthwhile to them, I guess. So they just shut all that shit down. That fucking sucks.
Yeah, it fucking sucks, man. I'm about to go play Gravity Rush on the console version of it, but it's one of those things like you're never gonna get something like that again with Sony anymore. Like, there's so many. It seems like I'll probably say this after the article as well, but there's so many smaller, cool experiences that are just probably gonna be gone now. Some cool IP they could have used more. I still don't agree that all their games are fucking movie games, but it seems like they are prioritizing like the cinematic ones now, the big blockbusters, like Jason Schreier says in his article. And
Man, I
that,
miss Parappa the Rapper.
dude, same. And like, we're never gonna get that again. That fucking sucks. Sony has some cool, wacky shit. Like, and I get that recently Sony has been shifting away from Japan. Like, they made the central, like, before, like, the office of Sony of PlayStation, the head, like, how you have Nintendo of America and you have Nintendo. Well, so PlayStation was Japan, but now PlayStation is America. They shifted everything from Japan to America because I guess that's their like most successful market or something.
It's
So
the most profitable.
yeah, probably. So now you have the big heads of PlayStation are all American people, instead of the higher ups in Japan. So it's a weird thing that they are doing. It is very strange. Like, they even did a lot of things to where in America, obviously the button standard is X is, I'm not calling it cross. X is like I don't know, start, not start. X is yes and circle would be no. Whereas in Japan, the standard was X was no, circle was yes. But they just switched it in Japan to the American standard, which further shows that they are pushing everything to America. They aren't really caring about their Japan market anymore. And all the Japan stuff doesn't focus too much on the rest of the article. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the article, but it is something to keep in mind when you think about what Sony is doing as of late. All right, continuing. This fixation on teams that churn out hits is creating The fixation on teams that churn out hits is creating unrest across Sony's portfolio of game studios. Oregon-based Sony Bend, best known for the 2019 open-world action game Days Gone, tried unsuccessfully to pitch a sequel that year, according to people familiar with the proposal. Although the first game had been profitable, its development had been lengthy and critical reception was mixed, so a Days Gone 2 wasn't seen as a viable option. Instead, one team at the studio was assigned to help Naughty Dog with a multiplayer game, while a second group was assigned to work on a new Uncharted game with supervision from Naughty Dog. Some staff, including top leads, were unhappy with this arrangement and left. Ben's developers feared they might be absorbed into Naughty Dog, and the studio's leadership asked to be taken off the Uncharted project. They got their wish last month and are now working on a new game of their own that will be part of a brand new franchise. Emphasizing big hits can also be counterproductive because sometimes games that start small can turn into massive successes. In 2020, Sony didn't put much marketing muscle behind the quirky video game creation system Dreams by the PlayStation-owned Media Molecule in the UK. The way I phrased that was weird. By PlayStation-owned Media Molecule in the UK. As a result, PlayStation may have missed out on its own version of Roblox, a similar video game tool. Parent company Roblox Corp went public earlier this year and is now valued at $45 billion. This is probably the part where I was like, I get what you're saying, but I mean, not really comparable, but whatever. I understand. For their first solo project, Mumbauer and his crew wanted to pitch something that would be well received by their bosses at Sony. Recognizing the risks and expense involved with developing a new game from scratch, they decided to focus on remaking older games for the new PlayStation 5. Remakes are considered a safe bet since it's cheaper to update and polish an old game than it is to start from scratch, and they can be sold both to nostalgic old fans and curious new ones. The team originally planned a remake of the first Uncharted game released by Naughty Dog in 2007. That idea quickly fizzled because it would be expensive and require too much added design work. Instead, the team settled on a remake of Naughty Dog's 2013 melancholic zombie hit The Last of Us. At the time, Naughty Dog was in the thick of development on the sequel, The Last of Us Part 2, which would introduce higher fidelity graphics and new gameplay features. If Mumbauer's crew remade the first game to have a similar look and feel, the two games could be packaged together for the PlayStation 5. In theory, this would be a less expensive proposition than remaking Uncharted, since The Last of Us was more modern and wouldn't require too many gameplay overhauls. Then, once Mumbauer's group had established itself, it could go on to remake the first Uncharted game and other titles down the road. But pivoting from doing finishing work for other games to making your own is difficult, since original development teams are competing against hundreds of other teams all from other the world with varying levels of experiences and successes, said Dave Lang, founder of Iron Galaxy Studios, which has served as a support team and a development studio. The people funding the work are often risk averse, and if they have to pick between a team that's done it before and someone trying to do it on their own for the first time, I can see why some people pick the prior development over the latter, he said. That's just what Sony did. Mumbauer's project, codename T1X, was approved on a probationary basis, but but Sony kept the team's existence a secret and refused to give them a budget to hire more people, leading many to wonder if the company was really committed to letting the team build a new studio. Still, the small team kept working, and by the spring of 2019 they had completed a section of the game designed to showcase how the rest would look and feel. At that time, Sony was going through a management shuffle and the new boss wasn't impressed. Herman Hulst, the former head of Guerrilla Games, was named head of PlayStation's worldwide studios in November 2019. He thought the remake project was too expensive, according to people familiar with the matter, and asked why the planned budget for T1X was much higher than remakes Sony had made in the past. The reason that this one was on a brand new graphical engine for the PlayStation 5. Mumbauer needed to hire more people to help rework the graphics on new technology as well as redesign gameplay mechanics. Hulst wasn't convinced, the people said. At that time, Sony. I recopied and pasted this part a couple times, and it was annoying. Just when it had hoped to enter production on the remake of The Last of Us, Mumbauer's team got called in to help when another big game fell behind. Release of The Last of Us Part 2 had been pushed to 2020 from 2019, and Naughty Dog needed the visual arts service group to polish it off. Most of Mumbauer's team, along with some of the 200 or so other staff at the visual arts service group, was assigned to support Naughty Dog, slowing down progress on its own game. Then the roles got reversed. Sony sent word after the completion of The Last of Us Part 2, some people from Naughty Dog would help out with T1X. Mumbauer's team saw this as their short-lived
Autonomy. Autonomy.
autonomy being stripped. Dozens of Naughty Dog staff were joining the project, and some had actually worked on the original Last of Us, giving them more weight in discussions with T1X's direction. The game was moved under Naughty Dog's budget, which Sony gave more leeway than the Visual Arts Service Group. Soon, it was apparent that Naughty Dog was in charge, and the dynamics returned to what they had been doing for the last decade and a half. The Visual Arts Support Group aiding another team of developers rather than leading. To Sony, the move made sense. Naughty Dog is one of the key studios for Sony's ability to sell PlayStations, said Bloomberg Intelligence analyst Matthew Canterman. Sony's competitive advantage has always been exclusive content over Microsoft and more new games, as well as remakes of classic titles from such a story team can help sustain demand for PS5. But those who had wanted independence were disappointed. By the end of 2020, most of T1X's team's top staff had left, including Mumbauer and the games director David Hall. Today, the T1X project remains in development at Naughty Dog with assistance from Sony's Visual Arts Support Group. The future of the remainder of Mumbauer's team, which has come to be jokingly referred to as Naughty Dog South, remains unclear.
Ooh.
Andrew, what are your thoughts of this crazy fucking story?
Fucking Naughty Dog South. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, dude. What
Fucking
the fuck?
slay him. My god. Come on, man.
Yeah, what the fuck? Man. Internal game development shit is fucking crazy. Go ahead.
Didn't so Naughty Dog are the ones behind like Last of Us and Last of Us Part 2, right?
Yeah, and Uncharted.
Among other titles, yeah, like Uncharted and such.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the cinematic game style games, or at least those two, I think they made games like Sleeping Dogs as well.
They did like Crash and Jak and Daxter and stuff.
Man, what happened to those games?
I know. I know what happened to them. Mascot platformers aren't fucking. They aren't printing money anymore.
Fit the Sony image.
Exactly. What the fuck? At least we have Ratchet and Clank. At least they're safe.
Oh yeah, sure for now.
They're getting a new big game on the PS5.
Yeah. So wasn't The Last of Us 2 kind of a bit of a controversial thing with like crunch culture and shit going on?
Yeah. If that's the only thing we're talking about, yeah, it was very controversial. The fucking crunch was insane at Naughty Dog, which to a point I understand working overtime if like the employees are okay with it and you're giving proper benefits, but from what it sounds like, it's like the crunch was fucking like mandatory and it was awful and it was not a short period of time whatsoever. So yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like the kind of group that I would want in control.
Yeah.
Let alone like having to fucking having them like hold me on a fucking leash when I tried to like open up the collar, go out for my own walk, just go out to the park or something, stop and get some Subway. But no.
Dude,
that sucks, man. They tried to like do their own thing for once and like they just got shackled back down.
Yeah, man. It's like this whole hearing the announcements of No Days Gone 2 and The Last of Us remake and stuff like that, it's kind of like, all right, it's whatever. It's when you read about the Visual Arts support group, I think that's what it is, and like T1X and stuff, which if I'm reading correctly, T1X was The Last of Us remake, right? Or was it some other project?
I think they were the ones that were behind the Last of Us remake because they wanted to remake Uncharted, but but the head guy or whatever was like, no, that's too expensive and shit. So they were like gonna try and do the Last of Us remake since Last of Us 2 was getting ready to come out at that time. So they were like, okay, this is perfect because when this comes out for the PS5, we remake this game for the PS5. We can like bundle them together. That would be like a perfect opportunity for some good sales and whatnot, and we can probably prove to I guess I think that's what it was. Like we can probably prove to them that we can do this shit, and we might be able to get enough leeway and access to work on the Uncharted remakes and
Mm.
stuff. But
Yeah, I
that
was just
obviously didn't work out.
yeah, I just wasn't sure if like because they were mentioned them making a new project called T1X. I wasn't sure if that was the Last of Us remake, but I assume it was because it's under Naughty Dog now.
Yeah, I think that was like their general plan was T1X for these remakes, and they wanted to eventually become their own studio because they wanted to do their own thing. They wanted to not like just just do
Well,
support. They didn't want to be just be a
the
support studio
studio was
anymore.
called the Visual Arts Support Group. I'm saying T1X is what they said the project name they were working on was.
Yeah, that's what the I think the project was the remakes themselves.
Okay, that makes
I
sense.
don't know if it's just Last of Us.
Okay. Yeah, it's when you hear about like the Visual Arts Support Group that and stuff like that in the story, and it's like, what the fuck? I'm sure this isn't uncommon by any means, and it's like I know some people are gonna be like, why are you getting on to Sony? Everyone does it, and it's like that doesn't make it right. Like these guys got fucked over, dude.
Right. And it's important that like this gets talked about and that like people are pissed about this kind of shit because it can help bring light to if you're saying like this shit is common, it happens all the time, well, like this being brought to the forefront can bring even more attention to it, and like the outrage and shit over shit like this can maybe like give a little more of a shove into being into like kind of trying to stop this shit. Be like, hey, maybe this isn't the best idea to be like treating these people the way that we do. It just like you said, like it just because it is common, may be common, and it happens a lot of other places. That doesn't make it right. It's still
Mm.
important to talk about this shit.
Yeah, like I don't understand that mindset, and it's like I haven't heard this many like I haven't heard a big story like this in a while. Like I assume there's companies coming into publishers pitching a game and then being like, no. And it's like, okay, I get it. But here recently, it's like there's been a couple stories like this which annoy me, like Vicarious Visions now becoming a support group for Activision Blizzard. And it's like, what the fuck? Also, they just released a PS5 patch for Tony Hawk 1+2, so I'm like, who's working on that game now? Is there still some Vicarious Visions people working on that? Or whatever. Like, that's not the story today. But yeah, now with the Sony shit, and
My
it's like
my beef with Activision can wait another day.
it can wait. But it's like it also comes down to it's not it is this, but it's not just the fact that Sony is like, no, you're not doing your own thing. It's I think also a big part of for the people that don't care about studios and they want to play the games, which I get it. Not everyone's on Twitter all the time. Not everyone's like having podcasts that advocate for developers. I get it. But for the people like them, there's some news for this too. The fact that like it seems like Sony is prioritizing these blockbusters. Like I said, it's unfair to say they're all just cinematic games and you put down your controller after 2 minutes of starting a Sony game. I hate those memes. But it's like
It does sound kind of funny though.
it is funny, but it's not true. But it's like those big blockbusters is what they're focusing on. I'm glad we have things like Ratchet and Clank still coming out, and it does seem like they are taking chances on a lot of smaller indie games. Like a lot of things have been showing at their showcases, like Returnal coming out. Like that's cool. A lot of like smaller indie games, like fucking Raya and the Last Dragon and things like not. Did I say Raya and the Last Dragon? What the fuck? Kina
You did
Bridge of
say that.
Spirits, not Raya and the Last Dragon. That's a good movie, but Kina Bridge of Spirits, like things like that. Like they are taking risks, if you can call them risks, but it seems like they just want big developers to work on blockbuster games. Like they're not gonna let God of War die. They're not gonna let Uncharted die. They're not gonna like the rumor of a new Uncharted game. Like I don't know what they didn't date that section of news. Like it didn't say like when they were gonna start working on it. So I don't know if they meant Uncharted 4 or Lost Legacy, or if now they mean Uncharted 5. So I don't know, but yeah, it's just fucked, man. Like them going in and being like, no, you guys are so. I hate support studios. I don't hate the studios. I hate that they exist. Like I hate that companies. Let me take that back, because I think support studios can be fine if that's what the studio wants to do, and I do think it's necessary a lot of times. Like if you look at a game's credits or like opening splash screens, you'll notice there are a lot of studios behind it. Like you open up a Call of Duty and you're like, most people know the cycle by now. Activision, Infinity Ward, fucking Treyarch, and Sledgehammer. Everyone knows that. But then you start to realize, like, no, there's other studios like fucking Raven software and like a bunch of other like smaller studios that are helping these games. Even Raven got the chance to like remake or I guess remaster Modern Warfare 1 and 2. So like they get things to do, but there are still just remakes and remasters. Like I also feel bad for like Vicarious Visions and Toys for Bob, which Toys for Bob just got to do Crash 4, which I'm sure was awesome for them. Before that, they were doing like remakes, like, which I guess since Toys for Bob's doing that shit now, I don't think we're getting a Skylanders fucking 10, but I don't know.
My inner middle schooler will forever be left forlorn and wanting.
Dude, I'm gonna die forever like about that news, but it's just yeah. My point is like I hate that companies rely on support studios so much to the fact that they're like, no, you are a support studio. You're not making a new game. You're a support studio. You're a remake studio. And then the fucking balls on them to be like, let's merge you into Naughty Dog. And like, I get it. I get
Naughty Dog South. I hate that shit. It hurt me in the fucking soul to read that line.
That fucking hurts. But like, I get the sentiment because it's like, okay, Naughty Dog knows their game, but why didn't you just pitch Naughty Dog, tell them to remake it then? Why did you get this studio and then they pitch The Last of Us remake? I assume correct me if I'm wrong, anyone listening, from what I read in the article, T1X, the game that they pitched was The Last of Us remake. From what I gather, they pitched The Last of Us remake. So you're taking a game that they pitched that you didn't allow a high budget for and said, why is this more expensive than most remakes? You didn't give them a high budget at all. And then we're just like, okay, instead of giving you a high budget, we're going to absorb you into Naughty Dog because we gave them a high budget when you could have just upped the budget for the visual arts support group.
That gets to me too, because it's like, apparently they gave them more leeway in budget and shit, so it makes me feel like, okay, they just didn't want to give it to you, but it's not like they wanted to save that money or have like had a problem with giving that money, because they just gave it to Naughty Dog.
Exactly. It's like, I don't understand. I mean, I do from a surface level. Like, they know Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog is their big fucking hits maker right now. Uncharted, The Last of Us, they made motherfucking Crash, which isn't relevant anymore today because Activision owns it, but they're their fucking hit maker. Next to Insomniac, I would assume, if they fuck with Insomniac, I'm fighting. But it seems like Insomniac's doing a lot of really cool pro-consumer things, and they're pushing tech, which is awesome. But, so yeah, Naughty Dog is their hit maker right now. So I get that they would have more leeway and more budget, but at the same time, it does seem like you're prioritizing them and being like, oh, we like Naughty Dog. Fuck you guys, though. Like, they're giving them more respect and support than this team that is trying to show you that they can remake this game. They're not pitching their own game from what I read. They're not pitching their game. They're pitching, we can remake. We are a support studio. We're good at this. We can remake a heavy hitter for you, and you could make a lot of money. And they're trepidatious about it because of who they are. And they're like, all right, we're going to give you a minuscule budget. And then, you know what? JK, LOL, we're merging you with Naughty Dog. And the fact that, like, they even point out, yeah, they're just, Naughty Dog is their boss. It was their project with Naughty Dog. I can understand them knowing the game more, but you got to know what that promotes when you do that. You gotta know that promote superiority. Like Naughty Dog, I assume a lot of the devs are probably nice people, but there got to be some people that are like not saying it but feeling like, oh, I'm superior. I know the game. You're going to listen to me. I'm going to tell you what to do because I know
Really
this
pushing
aspect
those
of the
power
game.
dynamics.
Exactly. Like even if they're not saying they're superior, it is a power dynamic. So you should have either just given the project to Naughty Dog to begin with and just been like, sorry, we just don't think you're the right people for it, which I still would have sucked, but I think that would have been like, okay, if you explained it and being like, I think remaking The Last of Us is great, but I don't know if we want to take a risk on another like company doing it, so we're just gonna get the developers to do it. I think it would have hit them, but it would have been like, okay, we get it. But giving them the chance to do it, screwing them over the budget, and then absorbing them with Naughty Dog, letting Naughty Dog then flex their like muscles and be like, I know the game, listen to me, and giving them superiority over it, that's the issue. That's fucked.
It sure is, man. I don't know. It's like, I guess now, because most of what I heard, again, it was really vague and shit, like Twitter timelines and everything, but it seemed to be tied more so to the Days Gone too. I didn't know it ran this fucking deep.
Yeah, and I haven't even gotten to that either. And maybe I don't have much to say on it. It is one of those. I didn't like Days Gone. I haven't beat it, so take that with a grain of salt. One day I intend to, and I might like it. But the little bit I played of it, it wasn't my thing. But I'd want the fans to get their sequel. Like, I'd want Ben to be like, okay, we were passionate about this IP. We listened to the critics. I assume Ben's like, okay, we love this IP. We're listening to what people didn't like about it. Here is our chance to go all out and give a game that everybody, fans and critics alike, will enjoy. And they didn't get the chance to do that. I like it. They're at least getting a chance to make their own IP, which I guess is good. But that was only after pushing back, after Sony was like, fuck you, you're going to work on an Uncharted remake. Like, they literally said, no, you can't make a sequel to your game that you have good ideas for. But what you're going to do is join Naughty Dog and remake Uncharted. Like, fuck that. Like, yeah, what the fuck? Why didn't I talk about this Ben stuff sooner when I fucking went? This shit's fucked too. They're like, no, fuck you. You're gonna work at Naughty Dog. So Ben had to be, no, fuck you. We're not doing this. We are capable. And then them being like, here's this IP we want to make. Compromise. And Sony, I guess, being like, okay, fine, make this IP that apparently if it doesn't sell, we're not going to let you do anything else with it, and you're probably going to fucking join Naughty Dog again.
Oh my god, I just realized that Naughty Dog is now being treated as like the fucking sadistic favorite child.
Dude, that honestly is. And I think one day it's going to become Insomniac. Like, it has to, with how they're fucking having a monopoly. Spider-Man, I think, was the fastest selling PS4 game like of all time, or maybe PlayStation game. I don't know. And then you put out Miles Morales, which sells like hotcakes on the PS5 launch. Now Ratchet and Clank is coming out, pushing the SSD tech, and Insomniac's also coming out with being like, "Oh yay! 5 months after the game, here's another Miles Morales suit." Also, just because we realized that, we didn't do the muscle tech right, we're gonna implement a patch that makes the muscles look more realistic on the suits, even though the suits and the character models looked amazing already. But Insomniac was just like, we feel like we should do this, and they did it. Insomniac's great. So like one of these days, yeah, Insomniac will probably become the Naughty Dog, the favorite child. And you'll have groups like this whose whole sole purpose is to be like, go help on Spider-Man 2. And that sucks, because I want that game to be good, but it's like knowing that there are going to be studios that are being crushed to be like, no,
It might
you
taint
are
the
helping Spider-Man
experience a
2.
little bit.
Yeah, and it's like, I never wanted to get like that. I think it's only till I got this podcast that I started being pissed off about this shit because I need to be. But this is one of those things where it's like, I've talked about this before. I'm usually a hard person to make angry, especially with news. I'm usually just being like, okay, I mean, it's whatever, but it doesn't affect me. It's like, I don't have so. I'm just. I naturally am not a hateful person. It's like the only news I've really been mad about is like racism and shit, which is on a whole nother topic. So it's like, yeah, that's what you have to do to make me angry. But because that's just fucked up to begin with. But now when it comes to video games shit, less important shit, though I mean it is people's jobs that we're talking about. But when it comes to that shit, it's like recently I've had to be like, I'm not playing being mad, but like just trying to put myself in the headspace. Like, you don't agree with this, it's okay to get angry. But with this, I wasn't mad when I was on Twitter. I was just kind of like, okay, whatever. And then I read the Jason Schreier article, and I got kind of aggravated about it. And then I read it to you, and I started talking to you about it, and now I'm pissed off about it.
Right. I think it was you were reading the article to me, and I was just going along with it. You know, I was clicking on the paragraphs to like mark like how far in I was to this auditory experience, and I didn't. And I was taking all the information, and I wasn't like processing any anger or anything like that until that last line about the fucking Naughty Dog South shit, and I was like, that rubs salt in the wound on a whole other fucking level. So like I audibly was like, ooh, fuck.
Yeah, and it's like, it says it's jokingly referred to as Naughty Dog South, so I don't know if that's the visual arts support group. Let me make sure I'm saying their name right. I would hate if I'm saying the wrong group's name. Visual Arts Service Group, sorry. I don't know if that's the Visual Arts Service Group saying, joking and calling like the current Visual Arts support group, service group, Naughty Dog South, but if that's like internal, like Naughty Dog saying that shit or Sony saying that shit, and it's like, that's fucked. That is like,
if it's that shit, that's like fucked up and rage inducing. If it's like a self-deprecation thing, then that's just sad.
yeah, either way, it's not a good thing. Like, I'm not gonna laugh along with it because that's either sad or it's fucked up. There's no like happy ending to that phrase. Like, that's, and like,
There's no true route.
Yeah, it sounds like we're getting mad about like a joke, but it's one of those things where it seems fucked when you read the whole thing, and this team is getting screwed over to the point where like now they're unofficially referred to as Naughty Dog South instead of their own thing, when all the team wanted was to work on their own things. Even if they're just remaking games, they wanted to make it on their own. I hope they get jobs. I'm sure they do. The games industry is like, it's one of those, like, I'm sure for some people it's harder to get in, but I see all the time whenever a studio becomes bankrupt or a big news story comes out, there's so many like devs like Cory Barlog or just studios tweeting out like, hey, like for Telltale, when Telltale like disbanded, there's so many studios being like, hey, if you worked at Telltale and you don't have a job anymore, here's our application. Like, there's so many studios being like that, so I'm hoping these people can get jobs and do things they want to do. But it sounds like they wanted to be their own studio. They wanted to do their own things. So I don't think Joe Chill. It's a fucking Batman thing. I don't know. Joe Jefferson. I don't think he wants to go work at Treyarch to make Black Ops 7. Like, I don't think he wants to do that. But at least I hope they get good jobs and they're able to be creative on some aspect, because the Sony shit is fucked, and it's just raising so many things. Like, it's just like the current head, Jim Ryan. I don't have enough support to back up any claim, so I'm not gonna say he's ruining PlayStation, because I would need to remember and read a bunch of articles, see what exactly he's done. But he's been on record saying things like old game is old, and now the PS3, Vita, and PSP stores are closing. Which PSP, it's like, okay, I get it. But Vita is one of those things where, like, that hits me because I wanted to buy a Vita soon. I'm going on a plane ride soon, and I would like to have some games for it. So that kind of sucks. And then, like, I don't know, man. There was a lot of things. Sean Layden was the previous leader of PlayStation, president I think of SIE, and like no, the joke is what happened to Sean Layden because no one knows. Like he stepped down and Jim Ryan took his place. Jim Ryan is usually a person that was like against old games, kind of like didn't want backwards compatibility, a lot of things like that, which sucked. At least we have PS4 backwards compatibility for the PS5, but it's still so many people were like tweeting at Sean Layden, be like, "Hey, we miss you, we love you," or tweeting old like press conferences things about Sean Layden's giving a really good speech. And the funny thing is he was, if you go in his likes, he's liking all these posts, but he's not saying anything, which he probably can't say anything. And there's some people he's been like, "Oh, thank you," but it's like he's liking all these tweets. It's just crazy. I don't know what's happening with Sony. I really don't. Like my friend Dan, one of the biggest Sony ponies I know, even posted being like, "Dude, I love PlayStation. It sucks to say, but Microsoft is handling a lot of things better than Sony." And it's true. When you have like a hardcore Sony pony who has like 300 something platinums, be like, and who constantly like, I always talk to him and he's always making some joke about Xbox, and I'm like, "Dude, Xbox is doing good things though." And he's like making jokes like, "No, fuck Xbox." And it's like, if he's saying Microsoft is doing better things, then it's just kind of like, your company's fucked. Like, what are you doing? And then I'll say next point. You were gonna say something a minute ago. I'll let you say it.
Wait, what was I?
Yeah, I thought you were. I stopped for a second. You sound like you were gonna start talking.
No, I was just agreeing.
No. Well, so then you get into like Xbox stuff, and I think a lot of these aren't like big things that are going to kill Sony, but it's like you have the Bethesda acquisition. You have Sony's MLB The Show now becoming multi-platform and is now on Game Pass, which that in itself is fucking crazy. You have a bunch of things where it's like Microsoft isn't going to suddenly start beating Sony, but you start to look at a lot of these things and are like, damn, like, what is Sony going to do? Like, so far we know of a lot of sequels Sony's doing, but it seems like we have a lot of cocky Sony back, and I think it is Jim Ryan. And Herman Hulse seems like it too. Is Herman Hulse was like, "No, we don't want to do this." Like I think
he was the one who like turned down the Uncharted remake because he was like, "No, this is going to be too expensive."
Yeah, I think he turned down Days Gone 2 as well, if I'm reading it right. So yeah, it's just like I don't understand. Do you have any thoughts on it?
It's kind of fucked. That basically sums up my whole experience learning about all this shit for the first time.
Yeah,
Fucked, bro.
it's fucked. It's one of those. I love the company. Maybe I think I love the PlayStation brand, and that's one of the things that it's hard to say. It's hard to wean myself away from it, and that's the same thing with Nintendo. I plan on doing an episode, probably clickbait, being like, Brent says Nintendo sucks, but like I want to do an episode explaining my thoughts on Nintendo as of late. But it's one of those things. I like Nintendo IP, but I don't like Nintendo.
Yeah, honestly.
I don't. Their IP is great, but I don't like Nintendo anymore. And I was a huge Nintendo fanboy growing up. It's the same with Sony. I like the PlayStation brand. I like their IP. I like the consoles. I like everything about them, but I'm not sure I like the company anymore. They've always been a cocky company. They got humbled a little bit after the PS3, but I don't think they took it in too much. Like they did some amazing things going into the PS4 generation. And then going into the PS5 though, there's so many things that for me was starting to be like, look, PS5 is your last chance for me. If you don't come out the gate and make me excited for the PS5, like I'm getting an Xbox. And it's only now that it's like the only reason I don't want to go back to PC or I don't want to go to Xbox is I like trophies. And my games are there, my play time's on PlayStation. And it's like, and I like the exclusives. And that's gotta suck for someone who loves your console to be like, man, I just like your achievement equivalent. Your exclusives are good, but The company sucks, and hopefully this changes. Like, I like the studios that Sony owns. I fucking love Insomniac. You know, I like Sony Santa Monica, but I'm not sure I like Sony. SIE, Sony Interactive Entertainment. I'm not sure that I can say I love this company anymore. I'm hoping it changes. For some of you, that may sound hyperbolic. If you find this episode, you're going to rake me through the mud in the comments. And it's like, okay, sure. But you got to realize this is coming from someone that genuinely loves PlayStation with all my heart. And for some of you, it's not going to matter. You're going to tell me I'm stupid. But the shit sucks. It sucks hearing about. It sucks seeing Sony being so cocky. And yeah, you're going to tell me that Xbox got cocky with the Xbox One. 100%. But that guy's not in charge anymore. Phil Spencer was not the one coming out the gate with the Xbox One. I get you can lump it in under Microsoft, but that was Don Matrick. That wasn't Phil Spencer. So yeah, you could say, yeah, Microsoft got cocky when it came to the Xbox One generation. But I see it as Don Matrick got cocky. Now Phil Spencer came in, and he does seem like he cares about the gamers. Maybe he's a bad person, but for his job at Microsoft, seems like he's caring about what people are doing. And I'm lingering on with my words, but it's one of those, like, this company needs to change. Like, I hate cocky Sony. Like, yeah, we get some great games out of it sometimes, but we don't get updates on some of the console features that we're probably never going to get, like, a smart delivery equivalent. We're probably never going to get a quick resume equivalent because Sony doesn't feel like it needs to. And that sucks, man. It really sucks. I hate cocky Sony. I hate cocky Sony so fucking much. And I hate reading about this shit too, dude. It ruins my mood. Like I said, I wasn't mad on Twitter, and I was like a little annoyed, like reading the article, skimming through it to find what to copy and paste. But like dissecting it and talking about it, it's frustrated. I'm pissed. Like, just annoyed and sad, dude. I don't like reading about this. I really don't.
Yeah, it's quite depressing. I mean, it really completes our whole arc with the way these episodes are structured too, because we start off all goofy and shit, talking about our personal shit, and then we talk about broader scopes, uh, and then things get a little more somber.
Mm.
I don't want to say things get like depressing or downright depressing or anything, like, because that would mean, like, it's just not fun to talk like this or talk about this, because I do still like enjoy getting into these kinds of discussions and shit, even if a lot of the time I don't really have a lot to offer because I don't have a lot of. It's hard to describe, but I guess, like, I'm not that, like, that much of like a news mind,
Mm.
like I'm not that great at like taking in like news and shit, and then like being able to look at it from an unbiased logical standpoint, let alone being able to actively like feed it through my mind and be able to make decent, well informed opinions on what I've just consumed, what I've just read.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that's the mindset I'm trying to put myself in lately. But it's just stories like this. Like, I like this conversation. I'm frustrated at the news, but I like dissecting these things. I like
Right.
talking about them, and I love the moments we're having dissecting these things. But I would much rather they didn't happen over me getting a good conversation out of it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm creating great content. I'm getting a great conversation with my best friend, but I would rather it didn't happen. I'm sure there's other things we could have good conversations about. Like, the heavy
It's
stuff.
just the subject matter that sucks.
Yeah, the heavy stuff can be fun to talk about as long as it's not like really heavy, like people are getting hurt. Like, that stuff's not fun to talk about. But stuff like this can be fun to dissect and figure out what companies need to do better. But it's like, I don't want that. Like, I don't want this all the time. I'd rather it not happen. And I hate cocky Sony. I hate how they're trampling on a bunch of studios and being like, fuck you. Here's our big dick swinging. We're Sony. And I hope we see people get good jobs. I hope people don't get fucked over, because that's the thing. It's like when you have such a big company like this, such a big presence, you put out so much good stuff. To a lot of people, you are hot shit. You are one of the companies that you assume is doing good stuff because they're knocking it out of the park. Like, you have the PlayStation stands that are going to defend you no matter what you do. But it's like, sometimes the curtain needs to be peeled back. And you're like, dude, you're not perfect. You are kind of a bad company. Like Nintendo. I don't like Nintendo. Like, in my years of childhood nostalgia and like goggles of loving Mario and Kirby and Donkey Kong, I feel like have wore off to the point where I'm like, you were just frustrating me with everything you do. And I'll get into this on that episode I do, but like, that doesn't mean I won't get excited for a new Nintendo console and buy it on day one, because I like their products. I like the IP. But the company fucking sucks right now. I don't enjoy them whatsoever. It's almost the same with Sony right now. So step up your fucking game, Sony. Either fire Jim Ryan, or Jim Ryan, I hope you have some conversation in the mirror being like, all right, whatever. What the fuck are we doing? You know?
Just imagine the fucking Jim Ryan comes out, like, just sees this episode and he has a fucking epiphany, like, as he listens to these two fucking nerds just talking about, like, hey, just do better, man.
Oh shit! Like, hey, Herman Hulse, Jim Ryan, like hi, Herman Hulse, I'm Jim Ryan. I was listening to the Free to Play podcast, and they told me to be better, and I'm like, well, shit. I guess I should. Let's go.
Huh. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, I never thought. But quick, Andrew. It's getting depressing. Say a dick joke.
Fucking like...
Flaccid.
Yeah, you're better at this than me.
I said the word flaccid. How is that good?
It applies to dicks.
I said a word. I said flaccid.
Plus, when you told me to do it, I choked. You know, like I choke on it.
Everyone, that is the Free to Play podcast, airing each and every Monday.
The first or second Monday of every month.
Are you okay, dude?
No, I
Guys,
swallowed it.
Andrew died on the podcast. Jim Ryan killed him. Jim Ryan killed Andrew.
I had to swallow it all.
I bet you did.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Have a nice night. Peace out.